The council has assembled. They are eager to hear your report.
Good evening. Welcome to the council. We begin tonight's meeting of the council by calling the council to order. Hello and to everyone, and thanks for joining us. The council is a live Twitch talk show and podcast discussing Star Wars: The Old Republic. I am Elise, and with me are my fellow council members, Sakari.
Hello, everyone.
Redna.
Hi.
And Magic Gaze.
Yo.
Today's topic is going to be about crafting.
Yay, let's make some stuff. It's like content creation in game.
What? After this live broadcast about crafting and all the in-game stuff you can do, you can find us everywhere. Recorded episodes will be found, like on YouTube, like the YouTube channel we have, or on the councilswitcher.com. Don't forget to check out Facebook.com. We post stuff on there too. You can follow us on Twitter at the councilswitcher, and then you can find our Patreon page at patreon.com/councilswitcher. It's on there too. We're everywhere. Try Googling us.
Yes, indeed. All right, so let's get started with our icebreaker question of the night. Those of you who know what that is will know that it is just a nice, easy question just to kind of get the conversation started. So this is the one I came up with. And by the way, just to invite everybody in chat, if you are in chat with us, feel free to answer all these questions too. We are constantly monitoring chat as we go, and if any of you say something that we think is pretty cool, we will definitely make mention of it in the show. So, okay, here's icebreaker for the night. Do you guys use any of the crafting, gathering, or mission skills in the game? If so, which ones do you use and why? If not, why not? So let us start with Mr. Redna.
I use them all. Every single one. Both crafting and gathering and missions. Because they all have achievements tied to maxing them out.
Really?
So that's
Chivos
why.
is what you're after.
Yeah. So I can get the easy cheese. Otherwise, only the most recently, as I started doing some more operations and my gear has gotten high enough to actually matter, I've been doing the biochem stuff necessary to have mats on hand to hand to somebody if I want like stims or adrenals or whatever.
Yeah, it helps to have a stockpile, that's for sure.
Yeah.
I'm discovering that the hard way right now with all this stuff that we're doing. So
I used to do a lot more, but I don't know if it's me and the way that I'm playing the game or if it's the state of crafting, and we'll probably get into it, but it seems a lot less important for me to bother with than it used to back in the day. Back in the day, I was, I'd make sure that I was making all the latest augmentation kits and augments and stuff and throwing them on the GTN occasionally. Or mostly I was just making sure I had enough on hand to give out to my friends whenever they needed them, but...
Mm-hmm. Indeed. Elise, what about you? Are you crafting in this game at all?
Not really. I make decos and I make dyes.
Is it better for me to ask if you're playing this game at all? Or are you playing your vampire?
I play. I do small group on Mondays or Tuesdays and WOG. And then I do leveling my smuggler. Thank you. But I don't need to craft high-level gear to be able to play my smuggler to finish my class stories. So
actually, for your smuggler, is it a gunslinger or a scoundrel?
Scoundrel.
Okay.
It's the sawbones, whatever.
Are you healing on it? Oh, no, sawbones is healing.
Sawbones.
Right? Goodness, I wouldn't know. Pub tunes, I have no idea.
Go
just heal on swords.
I'm finally at Corellia. This has been a long time. Like I started this character like a year ago. So I'm finally at Corellia. So yeah.
So you're playing it in real time. Like you actually have to fight the war in Corellia and win it. That'll take you about 3 months to do.
Every planet takes about a year at the pace that she goes.
So I got to do that. And then there's some thing where you have to deliver packages or something. I was like, what is this about? Boss for the boss. It's the last boss, right? Magic's nodding.
No, wait, no.
You have to go and,
delivery
deliver
That's Terrace, I
packages?
think, isn't it? Terrace?
I don't
Is
know.
this
You have
it-
to go to various different
if you're a
planets
male,
to be able
you
to do
get-
it. I'm getting us off topic, but
If you're a male, you get to romance the chick who sends you on these errands. But I'm pretty sure her delivery person got killed by Rackles, and so she sends you out to deliver the packages.
it's
Pretty
boss
sure.
people.
But this is
It's
because
boss
you're a
people on
smuggler,
different
correct?
ones.
Like if
I
you weren't a
see.
smuggler, you
I
wouldn't
guess.
get this.
Correct, because I didn't get it on my counselor. Anyway, I like to pick stuff up off the ground in every single game I play. So I enjoy doing crafting while I run around and gather. I'm sorry, slicing while I run around and gather. I loved Yavin 4 when it was like of value to do slicing.
Well,
Oh, yeah,
feel free to give me all the mats you collect. I'm good with that. I'll be fine.
Well, and the credit farming was easy because there were so many nodes all over the place.
But I just have this thing. I love picking stuff up. It doesn't matter what game I play. If they have that mechanic in it, I have problems. I must do it. So
No wonder it's taking you a year to get to Corellia. You're
yeah,
picking
well,
everything
pretty
up.
much. I just kind of mosey along. I get lost, and I can't read the map that it's like the thing is above and not on the same level as me. Just get us off topic again. Anyway, that's what I do. Everything else,
Yeah.
don't care.
Yeah. It's not helpful, I suppose.
But picking stuff up off the ground,
Right. If I was to answer this question, I don't really, and it's not because I don't want to be. I actually do want to be. I actually really want to be really active with crafting in this game. But I tend to just kind of laser focus on whatever character I'm pushing through story and then forget to log out, log in on another character, send everybody out, log back into my other character. It's such a hassle. I just kind of don't do it. And so it's, to me, I've known people that do that, and that's how they play SWTORs. They get from, just move from character to character, getting this, sending that one out, get it back on this character, get that crafted, send it to this other character to create this. And that's, I think, a pretty legitimate way to play this game, just kind of engaging in the economy. But to me, that would be the level I would want to play at, and because I don't have that kind of dedication to it, I don't really put the time in to do anything. Now, it's coming back to bite me in the butt because I don't have the stashes of mats that I need now that I'm at endgame to get some stuff crafted, but we'll get
actually, to that point, as far as Elise, what she has to say, like, if I see it, I have to stop and get it. So I never do have a lack of mats. Although, actually, so that's two questions I have for you. First, the new IOCath, where they've got the daily area and the reputation and everything, do they have a lot of crafting mats around there too at the current level?
Yeah, I was able to get a lot of stuff from there. Mostly I found like scavenging, and I seen a lot of slicing. There were some archaeology that I seen in random places, like in the middle. This is just weird. In the middle of like a spot where a machine is supposed to go, there's a random crystal out there just, poking through. And I'm like, oh, this looks totally normal, legit for IOCath.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I wouldn't imagine there'd be much biochem,
That's
stuff.
what I was about to say. I don't remember much bioanalysis there, but I do remember seeing a few archaeology, and Magic Baby agrees, and lots of slicing and scavenging.
Okay, because the other thing I was thinking about was, and I know we, in our Slack this week, I linked the image of it, but probably part of the reason I was so much more proactive about participating in the crafting and everything was because companions used to contribute. And so, like, it was another thing, just like min-maxing my stats. I needed to min-max my crafting because depending on what base class you were, you had a set of companions, and those companions gave you certain perks, either a speed increase or a higher crit chance. And so then, of course, whichever you had the highest crit chance in, you needed to make sure that you were involved in that crafting, and then trying to figure out how you got all of those covered across all of your classes
Treek
with
and
the best
HK51.
crit abilities. That was the thing, right? Because Treek and HK just gave you, what was it, like 2% for everything, but there were companions that gave you 3% or 5%. And so you still needed to make sure that you weren't using Treek or HK for those ones. Now, if you were doing something...
Well, you send both of them out.
Right.
You send like all three. You'll send out the main one that gets the 3%, and then HK and Treek.
End game relic, and you want that augmentation slot to crit so that you don't have to use all your mats to do that too. No, but I think because of that had me more engaged, and now that companions have become entirely irrelevant and homogenized, I
Right.
think that might be why I've lost some of my interest.
No, I don't blame you at all for that. That makes a lot of sense, actually. It's the complexity, I think, that you enjoy getting into and playing with and figuring out the way to make it all work given that complexity. And when they dumb it all down to nothing, like there's nothing left.
Like my
Yeah.
skill
it's
tree.
gonna be
Well,
I
great.
really liked picking my skill trees.
Right. And growing up, I loved doing logic problems, right? And in a very real way, that's exactly what I was doing with these different things was, okay, go through. I mean, when gear mattered more, I was the one going out and adjusting all of my own spreadsheets and models. And then as soon as they came out with the latest post from, whoever famous guy that likes to publish everything, I'd check my numbers against his. That's because I'm a math freak and I want to make sure that my math is just as good as the guy that gets recognized. So I don't know. Maybe that's my own picadillo, is that I just am infatuated with those kinds of logic breakdowns and efficiency optimizations.
You sound like you're going to be our next theory crafter. I think we should start selling your services.
Well, I was back in not so much anymore.
You're a math guy and you play SWTOR. We need you to theory craft because all our theory crafters have moved on.
There's
Yeah.
still some left.
Good. I hope they're still updating their stuff. Goodness me. I depend on those tables. That keyboard ninja tank stats. Man, that was a post I visited every day
Yeah, he's
for a long time.
He's gone now.
Yeah.
I definitely use all the crafting and gathering skills except for arms tech. I use it just the tiniest little bit, but for everything else I use it. And most people are like, cyber tech? Who uses cyber tech anymore? That's worthless. For the most part, you are right. However, I enjoy PvP, and I can craft seismic grenades on my cyber tech, which, by the way, is an extra interrupt, basically, because it knocks whoever you're attacking off of their feet. So if you're out of interrupts and someone's about to attack or, like, cap a base or, steal something or whatever, boom, there you go, seismic grenade. So for me, totally worth it. And then I craft a bunch of low B ones for like my low B characters, because when you go into low B and mid B PvP, you get people that have 10 more abilities than you do,
Yeah.
and so you get burned fast. Well,
Yeah.
those grenades give you an extra ability, and they don't see it coming because most people don't use those anymore. So I craft them because I'm like, are you ready to die? Because I'm ready to kill you. Boom, grenade.
I was gonna
while
say-
they're on, while they're on their back trying to scramble back up, I'm like, stab, stab, stab.
Magic seems
Or
awfully
pew.
connected to these grenades.
I am. I really like it.
This is
But
like the
most-
second
Boom,
show she's
grenade.
talked about them, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
This isn't the first episode we have had a conversation.
I don't think this is even the second one.
Mostly, though, what I craft is augments, because I have 32 characters on this server and 24 characters on, what is it now, Starforged, that about half of them on each server are level 70, and I play them often, so I want them to be augmented. And now I'm even tanking, so even my tanks need augments, and I thought I was going to get away with only, a few.
But you're
I
doing
augment-
you're doing the 228 augments, right? You're not doing the
Yes,
236s, the nasty ones.
I'm making the newest ones and then the ones right below them. And then also I craft relics for my lobby characters, because sometimes it takes a while to get like 248. And since I
Right.
can craft 246, I craft a bunch of 246 ones, and then I put them on my lower characters, because I logged on to a few the other day and they still had 228.
Yeah.
So I was
time for
like,
a bump.
yeah.
I have
yeah, I had to
several.
fix
I have 228, and I'm not feeling that.
I haven't had 186 augments on some of them. I was like, whoa, girl, it's time to fix this. So yeah, also I love the die packs. So I craft tons of die packs.
Yes.
Magic Baby loves die packs.
And they sell pretty well, I'm sure.
Oh, they
Really?
do. And I made 6.5 million the other day off of 2 augments that I sold. It was wonderful.
Wow, no kidding. Goodness me, that's 3 mil a piece, 3 and something, 3 and change.
Yeah. Yeah, it was
My
a little
goodness.
over 3 mil.
Yeah, you must have found it on a good day, because I mean, the other day I checked the
It was
GTN
alacrity.
for the
Alacrity's always selling high.
Really? Okay. Yeah, because I was looking for stuff the other day just to see what was on, but maybe I was looking at the tank one, so maybe that's a little lower. But, stuff was selling for 1.6, 1.8 a piece, for the full 336 augments. I hope I'm right on that. If I'm wrong, somebody correct me. So, all right, Lisa, you want to take us to the question of the week?
Yes. So we asked the community, what's your favorite crafting skill? and of course was with the subsequent categories of crafting: synth weaving, armored mech, cyber tech, biochem, arms tech, and artifice. So if anybody in chat, if you'd like to participate, please go ahead and pop in what your favorite crafting skill is in the chat. What is it? A, B, C, D, E, F?
Right. You can just do the letter for the one that is yours.
Oh, okay. So that would not be A, B, C, D, E, F.
No, it is A, B, C, D, E, F, but I mean, does this correspond?
Oh,
A is synth weaving, B is armor mech, etc.
Right.
If anybody is new and is watching this and would like for us to, slow down a little bit, be sure to mention in chat. We're happy to help out as we go along.
I'll just tell you quickly, Artifice is amazing. It's the best, and you definitely want that. And if you don't craft at all, you still want to get your collecting skills because you can use them in flashpoints to help give you shortcuts to get there quicker. Okay.
Yes, yeah, you're right to bring up the different benefits and bonuses that you do get with these things are not necessarily straight crafting. That is entirely true.
All I have to say is decos. Decos.
Yes, indeed.
But decos can be made from any profession, right? Because you make those
I don't
intermediary currency things.
I have no idea. I just do the ones that are on my artifice because that's the only one I have high enough to be able to do any of that stuff. And the die packs as well, because that's where I unlocked all of my die packs.
You're talking about the universal, what are they called? The universal whatever kits, prefab?
Mm-hmm.
Right, the campaign-related currency items that you craft in order to turn in for decos.
Correct.
And we'll get more into this, but for me, that just makes me go bleh. Because,
I know, it was a painful implementation.
Yeah, here you go, and you create this thing, and then you take it to a vendor and swap it for an item.
Mm-hmm.
Can I just create the item? That'd be great if I could just create the item, because then I could go sell the item.
Still, right? I mean, you can make beds and couches and.
But it's like if I was going to be I want a basket, right? I go out there. And I go and I farm some things out of the ground, and I gather break the seeds open and gather the stuff out of the seeds, and then I spread it out, whatever, and then I draw on it and make it nice and pretty, and then voila, I have a nice pretty dollar bill, and then I go buy a basket. That's how stupid that is. Why can't I just, go get the grass and make the basket out of the weather?
To be fair, I agree with you. You know why? Because in real life, we call this counterfeiting. It's against the law.
Oh, what do you mean?
Hey, I don't disagree.
Exploits. Dang it.
I mean,
we're making money. This is totally against the law.
But that's how dumb that is to me. It's like, like you do all of this work to create this item, and then you basically create the currency that you just go buy the item with, which to me is just so stupid. Oh, goodness. So, anyway, so what we usually do at this point here is just kind of ask the council members, the team, what you would pick out of this. I think now Magic Ace has told us that Artifice is by far her favorite, right? Because of the flashpoint bonuses and what else?
Well, that's just like the bonus to it. My favorite thing is that I can craft relics, lightsaber hilts, and of course the die packs.
And crystals.
Let me see, that was the thing I was gonna say. My by far most favorite thing is definitely the crystals, because there's some crystals you can't buy, and people are like, "How did you get that crystal? What pack is it in?" It's not in a pack because it's in my bag. I crafted it. I did it all by myself. Tip me. I did it. It was mine. And also because of that wonky, stupid, retarded thing they just did not too long ago, where now you can't put a legacy weapon in your legacy bank or mail it if it's got a cartel crystal that's not been unlocked. So if because people were reclaiming it, basically like taking it out, reclaiming it, putting it back in and sending it to other tunes, so they were getting crystals all on like all their characters without ever having to unlock it. So I like having those crystals because once in a while I come in contact with that where I try to pop it in the bank and I'm like, oh, and I get very frustrated because I'm not going to pay to unlock 15 crystals I don't need.
But can't you just take a crystal out?
Yeah, but
Like I have
still don't
crystals
want to
coming
waste.
out of my ears, cartel
I don't want
crystals
to.
coming out of my ears. I don't ever worry about that. Like,
Well, but I only
ever.
have like really expensive ones that I use. I don't want just plain green and like plain yellow and
Right.
plain red. Those are the ones that I have in abundance. But I don't want those
Right.
ones. I have like the black purple and I have like the black green.
Red, no.
Like
Those
the
are the
black
ones.
green that you get from the Rackle event, the Thorn
Right.
event. Those ones you can put in there. And so like that's one of the only ones that I have that is special that I'll actually put in my legacy bank. So anyways, my point in saying all that was I really like that I can craft crystals because then if I come in contact with that, which only happens once in a while, I want to keep the really nice crystal that I bought off the GTN, but I'm not going to pay to unlock it. So I just, pull that sucker out, pop in a crystal I crafted, send it over, and the person still has the same stats because I can craft everything.
Right.
So I like that. Really,
I have some thoughts on crystals that I need to share at some point, and maybe
Also,
like
the dye
like
I can craft dupes basically. So like the black and white dye, I can craft the black and slightly off whitish gray dye. And on some armors, you can't tell that it's not black and white.
Yeah,
the shade
true.
is just so minutely different. And I really like that. I craft that the most. And I make a lot of money off of it too. Sometimes about 600K, so then down to like 500K or like 50K. It just depends on where the market is. I can make really low or really high. It also depends on the server.
Right. Just my side question real quick on crystals. Is there any point to having anything besides crit crystals in the game right now? Because we have power, we have mastery, we've got endurance, and all of those are worthless.
For your min-maxing, first of all, of course, it's a good idea to have endurance on a tank. Because it's the only tanking stat on a crystal.
I've actually heard that crit is good because it helps you with your threat generation.
It's debatable, but actually the min maxers currently when you're up at it adjusts per tier,
Right.
but it basically alternates between having double crit crystals or having one crit and one mastery. The reason is because now the gear levels have gotten high enough. Originally, it was all crit, like before the previous tier or before that, because what had happened was the mastery numbers had gotten so massively inflated that they were starting to hit diminishing returns, but the crit wasn't getting near as far into their diminishing returns as the mastery, so it was just an easy default, go with your crit. But now it's actually started shifting back because the crit values have been getting up high enough that now you can start actually it's starting to reach a different balance point now, but
yeah, because
to
it's
your
easier.
point, it's safer just to go with the crit crystals. It is easier just to go that way.
Do the crystals
when in doubt,
really
crit it
matter? Does the crystals even really matter just for the sheer fact of not should I put crystals in? I'm not saying that put crystals in, but I'm saying doesn't necessarily matter because you want your stat budget to be in a specific area. So like if you need that, like literally you need 41 points in crit to get exactly what you want, then it would be perfect to put a crit crystal in there. Oh, look, I got the crit that I need. But if you need a little more power and you pop in a power crystal and it gives you what you need, I mean, it's like, does it really matter what crystal you put in as long as your stat budget is where it needs to be? That's my question.
Okay, so you kind of view them as outside of the stat budget, is what it sounds like to me. They're just supplementary.
I pulled mine out and I seen my number diminish, my power. So I popped it back in and my power went back up. So I was like, does it even matter at this point? As long as your stat budget's where it needed to be, you can put any crystal in there and it wouldn't really matter.
If you're in the effects of any kind of bolster or level sync, not having something equipped in the slot
is better than having anything in there.
Yeah.
So back to crafting. On the poll on Reddit, it looked like the majority of the people were either down with the comments were cybertech, biochem, and artificing.
Right. And I'm showing the results from the
cool.
And
I'll put the chat results in too.
I would have actually, back in the day, historically, I would have been rooting for Cybertech. Cybertech was just easy because you got your pieces, you got mods, you got armorings, you got, like, there was a lot of value. And it also came with using slicing, which was great as a gathering skill to complement it. But they've redistributed how some of these things work and where you get them. And now, from what I understand, Cybertech has less value than it used to. Artifice used to also have the enhancements. Do they have that anymore?
Enhancements
Um,
of artifice.
Artifice? No, that's
No.
Armor Mech.
They
Uh-uh.
moved
Think,
it
is
off.
Yeah,
it?
they moved
Is it
that
Armor
on.
Mech?
Okay, because it
I
was
wanna say
Artifice
it's Armor Mech.
originally.
Yeah, no, it's not artificing anymore. Really,
Maybe
it's
it's
I hate that-
artificing is like a lot of like crystals and
So who does?
Backpacks.
So for myself now, it's definitely biochem, just because it's the thing that you constantly need to be making more of. Stims wear out, you need to get more. Adrenals and med packs get consumed, you need to make more. So it's just an easy one that the mats are always going to be in demand, even after you hit max cap or get your gear primed
with the
or whatever.
caveat, unless you had every single one of them as biochem, then you could have the reusable ones, and then you never run out.
Except the reusable ones were capped at tier 3 at level 50. They're so trash now.
No, the new ones that came out with Umbara.
There is a new, because on my tank I had him maxed out, and somebody in the group crafted some for me. I guess I could have done it myself, but they were like, here's a set
Was
of
it
these.
Ellie?
I think it was
gave
Ellie.
you one?
Yeah, Ellie was a friend of ours. Was like, here's a set of these because you're rocking 600, and it's their item roll, whatever the highest is, 104
Really? So they brought
or
it
whatever.
back?
Oh yeah, they did come back, and they are pretty
Yeah,
good.
because they went away completely for a while. You're right, they were capped, and even though people would tell me they're not as good, don't use them. I'm like, well, I'll use them on my flashpoint runs. I'm not going to waste the really expensive ones. So I still use them anyways, but they did away with them for a while. And when Umbara was released, they brought them back, but now they're as good as the ones you craft, and they're only usable for biochem as well. So they're brand new. These ones are not the old ones.
Yads in chat is mentioning that enhancements have been moved to Cybertech. So Cybertech does mods and enhancements. I bet you that if you've got some decent schematics on a Cybertech, you could probably make some really good money. I'll bet.
Oh, can
have
I
some
just
bets, but I don't
share how it used to work that you got the plans for crafting? Just because
Hold on
it's
a
so
second.
asinine.
We've got that's in the next section for the newcomers. Let's go ahead and finish up the poll first, and then we can move on to that. If you don't mind, can you hold that, Brenda?
Fine.
I know.
All right, at
All
least
right,
what would you like to?
Can we go over what the
Sure.
Or okay, I'll go over the official results, and then we can compare it to chat.
Okay.
So the results of the poll, our community poll, is Biochem with 101 votes, was in first place, 33%. Artifice was next with 97 votes, or 31%. Cybertech was third with 46 votes. Now there was a huge drop
Right.
to Cybertech, which is 15% of the vote. Then Synth Weaving with 29 votes, or 9% of the vote. Armor Mech with also tied at 29 votes and 9% of the vote. And Arms Tech with 6 votes and 2%.
I
of the
just
vote.
want to say that Artifice got bumped up to 32% because I voted late, but it was already put on the council thing.
Well,
I
it
was
doesn't
like,
count
"Oops,
anymore."
I forgot to vote.
Poll is closed. It blows my mind that Synth Weaving and Armor Mech are the the second and third last in that. I thought that those two, because those are the augment crafters, I thought those would have been way higher, but they're not.
Well,
Can
the
I
problem
tell
with
you-
Armor Mech is before they had 3 that you could craft, and now with the newest you only have 2. It's one of the tanking ones and then Alacrity. Not both of the tanking like before. Now it's one tanking one and Alacrity, so you can't just rely on Armor Mech anymore. I think that's why they did that.
Okay,
No,
but
that's a good
let me-
change. I think it's
Let me interject just for a second. You're assuming that everybody is min-maxing and that everybody is rating and doesn't just take whatever gear they get. So I'm not
Okay.
augmenting my stuff.
all right. So let me dumb this way down. If I was a character that was just like, I want a cool lightsaber, I'm gonna do Artifice because Artifice make cool lightsabers. Is that what you're
They
saying?
Or
really
you're going to
freaking
go
do.
to the Cartel Market of the GTA and go buy one that you saw on Tour Fashion.
Okay.
Maybe.
That's a very small percentage.
Or I
think.
just buy a hyper crate and get one of the,
Right. Right.
or
I mean-
as my luck would have it, not get one. Yeah.
So, SWTOR talks about craftable armor, and I was like, I have no idea what they look like, frankly. I came after, so late in the game that wasn't common knowledge for me. So a lot of this, I didn't even know what the options were for synth weaving or armor mech, right? That's the other kind of outfit craft, right? For non
Yes, synth weaving is like
lightweight.
the cloth and leather, and
Right.
then armor mech is more of your
Heavier
heavy duty
ones, right?
stuff.
So I had no idea. So her like series, like there was a lot of outfits in there that are really cute. I wish I would have known that back when I was actually like interested in being
Well,
a
at least
crafter.
let me add something. Let me add a layer onto what you're saying right now, because I think what happened there when they first came out with the you can create a level 60 character and a level 65 character. People were like, "Hey, we really like the armor that they're wearing because their default armor was pretty good looking." So people would create a character, pull the armor off the character, and then delete the character and do that as much as they wanted to proliferate those sets. And then BioWare kind of shut that down and made it so that you can't do that. So, but SWTOR kind of came to the rescue and said, "Hey, by the way, you guys are forgetting these sets as they are craftable. Here's where this set is, and here's where this set, and here's how you make this set." And so,
But
yeah.
let me just tell you, when I started this game, when my friend was showing me around when I first started this game, the thing was to go get shells, right? And then go get the armorings and stuff from the vendors and slap them in the shells. And we went to the GTN and just bought Cartel Market, the cheapest, shell armor that you could get, and that's what I used. Or from then on out, I would just go get the level 7 stuff and just update that all the time. So when I came in, it was go to the GTN and buy something off the GTN. Do you know what I'm saying? Like that was not, because then you were going to out level the whatever pre-made, preset gear.
I will mention though that a lot of times when I'm looking for an outfit now for like the character customization thing where you can have like 16 different outfits, a lot of times I will go through and look at what I can craft because there's specific pieces of outfits that I think would look better. Like say if an outfit, like it looks great on a male tune, but then on a female tune it doesn't look just quite right, I'll go look at what I can craft, and if I think the piece works better, I'll craft it for the specific purpose of just stamping that. Then I throw it in the cargo hold and don't ever look at it again because I have it stamped and I can wear it whenever I want. I don't do that. I didn't do that before too much because when you augmented a set, that was your set. And it took so much money to get a new one.
That's true.
So now I do that a lot more than I did before. So I'm thankful for the old schematics that you can't get anymore.
And I really love, like we have some community content creators that try and like recreate with craftable gear, like some of the Cartel Market outfits. And you can actually do that with some of the crafted sets. And I didn't know about any of that until I've been playing this game for a year and a half. That there were some
the
that
die
were
packs and stuff like that.
Yeah, but like I can't remember which one it is off the top of my head, but there is one that looks almost exactly like the Cartel Market outfit. Like the Satil Sean bracers that go down over her hand. There's a craftable set that actually looks like those ones.
You mean the gloves?
Yeah.
I was gonna say she doesn't have bracers. Her set doesn't.
No,
but the
yeah,
gloves,
but it's like the fingerless, like
yes,
you know what I mean.
So I love Candace Ordo's gloves.
Yeah, and especially for newbies.
I love that set,
I really love that. Yeah, I really like the fact that they can. I love it when they do that. Like the content creators make those kind of videos, because if you're just starting, I still only have like a couple 10 million credits. I do not have billions like people who've been playing this game since the beginning. So.
Couple 10 million credits.
I have about 3 million.
I did too, and then I have to pay tank repair bills.
Yeah, I just augmented my tank completely, and afterwards I'm like, I had 5 million. It was very sad.
It's very
10 million's all you need, because that gets you the highest achievement unlocked. Just saying.
Yeah, so I had a buddy back in the day who passed that to everyone in the guild. Passed that to everyone in the guild, and by the time we were done, everyone had the title, and then he took it back and we all gave him like a $5 fee. Thank you for the achievement, thank you for the title. It was great.
So what was the community result, or our chat result?
All right, so the chat result looks like our artifice was won by three votes.
Yeah, it was totally unfortunately the voting pool was influenced by one of our council members, and so
I happened to vote for Artifice because that's what I actually voted in the main poll.
See? Yes, but
That's
you always
legal.
go with the crowd.
Well, the crowd agrees with me at all times. They know that they know that if they
There you
disagree
go.
with me, they go missing.
Yeah, you're gonna fry them.
Yeah, so then we had one for cybertech and one for biochem, and nobody else liked anything else. Especially synth weaving and armor mech. It just blows my mind that those are so low on that, because those are the two that I probably spend the most time on. I'm crafting augments. Very interesting to me. Maybe I just don't think like everyone else. I don't know.
I just care about the outfits. I don't care about the other stuff. So if they don't have any good outfits, I'm like, meh.
Yeah. All right, so we have there's a lot to the crafting discussion here. There is the history of kind of how things have come to this point. There's the latest stuff that's hit the market. Let's start, I guess, with an overall question. And I know from kind of the way that we've been talking that we may almost disagree in some of this, and this is probably pretty good way to start. But is there any use for some of the mid-grade craftable pieces these days? And if so, what are you using them for?
For leveling up my crafting and selling to vendors.
Are you doing that with actual armor pieces?
Well, I mean, there are no armor pieces anymore, are there? It's just
Blues.
like
Like,
take two of this and two of that and
Like
make
blue
something.
blue gloves or a blue chest piece or a blue boots or something. Are you using those to craft? Because what I'm
You
doing
go
in
from
crafting,
0 to max level in a week now. There's like no reason, and you can do it naked. So no, there's no reason for intermediary.
yeah. So what I'm doing to level up crafters is those component pieces, where it's
Yeah, that's what I
it's
was
the
thinking of.
two that you're gathering and then the white mat or what I do, and then when I run out of, I get to where those are green, then I buy the next piece up, and that's yellow or orange, so then I do that one. But I'm doing those to get all the way to 600, and I don't buy anything else in the interim, and then at the end I buy all of the end game starter schematics, and then reverse engineer those to the purples and go from there. But it seems to me like from what Magic Ace was saying is that you know, she's using them a lot in the looks of her characters, and Elise, you're saying that there are videos out there that they say, hey, this piece right here is the piece that you're looking for if you want those Satil armor gloves kind of looks. So that's what I'm saying. Maybe we have two different takes. I'm like, I find no use in the leveling mats. I mean, the leveling pieces at all. But you guys are finding use in them.
I mean, if you want a specific look in, yeah, for the costume thingy, it doesn't matter what, you know, if it's heavy, not heavy, it doesn't matter. So I go shopping on the GTN or, you know, whatever, just looking at the look, not, yeah, what the utility is for me.
I think a significant portion of my gaming is more reflective of my childhood. We were too poor to afford dolls to dress up, so I just never got into that in video games either.
Really? I thought you'd have been like, sweet, I can do this now. So now you're like getting your space Barbie looking pretty good.
Well, but I mean, realistically, yeah. I mean, I actually never got into crafting any items in any way because they weren't legacy transferable. And then I know they added that whole die stamping process that lets you make your characters look differently. But all I did for that was, okay, I make a new character, I load up the default gear that I'm wearing on the starter planet, and I pay the 100 credits in order to unlock it. And that way I've got a look that's consistent throughout time, and I can, you know, legacy transfer over the gear that I actually want to wear. It's like that simple. But I totally get it, that particularly for the synth weaving and the armor mech. And the chat room was talking about how everything's totally ugly. I think that actually, if you're mindful of what you're using and selecting, you can make some really creative, interesting looks. Additionally, something that a player like Elise wouldn't even have access to anymore, but there were, like in the first 2 years, there were actually PvP. You would use a PvP currency to purchase craftable schematics that you could use. They're still not legacy transferable, but they had unique looks, and some of those were actually rather cool, and I haven't seen them duplicated or reskinned.
It was like Battle Master and all of those.
Yeah, I actually
somebody
seen somebody wearing the look of the level 50 PvP armor. You know how those huge shoulder pads and like the weird like weaves coming like down to the chest.
You look like Zamus from what's that game? Metroid. They're like the
Yeah.
Zama's shoulders.
Shaman.
And like the weird face mask. Okay, so I seen a guy or gal, whatever, but it's a male toon, doing that in PvP. They were wearing that, and I was like, I so wish I hadn't sold those shells because that would be so cool now. At the time, I was super happy to get rid of them, and I needed to ruin my cargo bay, but now I wish I had them.
There's some pretty cool stuff. I frequent tour fashion a lot. And some of that stuff I was like, ooh, that's really cool. Can I buy that? No.
I love how Elise's
Well,
game.
that one is really cool.
Elise's
No.
experience of SWTOR is like so different to the rest of all of us.
I
She's
know,
like,
I
I don't
told
play this.
you.
I don't play the game. I'm in it for the fashion.
That's right. The
That's
decos.
awesome.
I mean, that's what I'm like. And,
That's
you know,
why
like,
when we drag her
you
through
can craft
fast
some
points,
goggles in one of those sets. I was like, the rest of it's ugly, but man, I want those goggles because they're really expensive to buy on the GTN. That's why
when we
like
drag
it.
her through flash points or PvP, she's cursing at everything because she's like, I just wanted to have decos. I just wanted to look pretty.
She's getting her butt kicked,
That's all I-
but dang, she looks good
That's all I
doing
care
it.
about.
Yeah,
Yeah.
good times. So I don't know. What do you guys want to talk about? Like, let's see here.
The most efficient way
Okay,
to
so
level.
I do just want to talk about the most efficient way is just make those little components where it takes 2 of your
Exactly.
basic ones and
Save
level it,
money.
reverse
and
engineer it,
don't buy
and
everything
craft
yet.
it some more until you max it out and move on to the next one. That's easy to answer, but it used to be like because it used to be that leveling in this game was a lot more realistic. Like you actually had to spend time at it, like the most efficient way through playing the game would be to group up with somebody and then play the entire planetary story arc. And oftentimes even the bonus story arc on top of your class story arc.
Everything you could find, yeah. Everything you could
Right.
find and run.
And then you'd weave in some PvP, just to get some dailies
and
done.
you would
But
get your groups done so that you could play do the heroic 4s and whatever. They'd be
yeah,
groups
and
forming.
doing a planet would actually take a few days. And in the interim, that would, on that planet, you could be leveling up your crafting by, picking up the stuff off the ground and then building stuff.
Yep.
But the crazy
That's
thing
why
was,
power leveling was really bad for crafting, is because at the time you couldn't just grab anything. It was per level. Like you had to be like level 50 of this crafting or level
Right.
200 of this crafting. So when you power leveled, you had to go back to the stupid planets
Yeah,
that you already
you'd
missed and
outrange
do
them,
everything
yes.
over again.
Yeah.
That was one of the best changes they did to crafting, was making it so you could scavenge or bioanalysis or whatever, everything.
But then if you were making, say, an earpiece, but you wanted the stat distribution you want, the earpiece would come with like your cunning, right? Well, okay, you wanted cunning and you wanted crit. So you made the cunning one and then you reverse engineered it. And then eventually it crafted it crit, and it would say, you just learned a new schematic. So you run in and you
1
check
in
your
5
schematic.
chance. It's better
Well, 1
now,
in
but it
3.
used to be 1 in. Oh,
It was 1 in 3.
okay.
The first time, because then it would be cunning and oh crap, that's the cunning endurance one. I don't want that. So then you do it again and reverse engineer until you get the cunning crit. Okay, that's the one I want. Then you had to do the exact same process, and that would be your blue, right? Then you had to do it again and make that one blue that you wanted with the stat on it over and over and over again, and then you would have a chance at a tertiary stat that would be a 1 in 3 chance. So you had to get your 1 in 3 right for the first to turn it to a blue. Then you had to get your 1 in 3 right again to turn it to the purple. And then you had to do that every time you leveled up your crafting.
And this is why I started focusing only on die packs.
I'm done.
Yeah, right.
This is so stinking complicated, yeah.
And decos.
It was crazy complicated. And every one of them, and the naming convention of the item
Uh-huh.
was actually
Yeah.
of how it crit. So then
Yep.
you knew you wanted to get the savage bipartisan, or I'm making up labels here, but it was really really intense. And then if you're a fool like me, like that first 6 months, I was trying to make sure that I made every single one and reversed it every single time enough times to actually unlock every single variant, just in case at some point they rebalanced how stat calculations worked, and I might need to recreate it. Well, I would already have the schematic ready so that I could make it.
Right.
That's not why I did it. I did it for components, because every time you'd reverse or engineer something, you'd get the little components for the slot kits to use augments. And so most of the time I craft tons of crap I don't need because I intend to reverse engineer it and get those components. That's how you make the
Right.
kits to actually augment
To me,
your gear.
augmentation kits are like the least efficient piece to craft. I don't understand how anybody stays solvent making augmentation kits, because you create a piece, then you reverse engineer it. You get maybe a third of the mats back out of it that you got, but you get the pieces that you can then make this other piece that you then sell for 50K on the GTN. You know, I would expect it to be 3 times that in order to. I've never understood, I guess, how augmentation kits are so cheap, but I guess it's probably because there's so much competition. But there's such a drag. There's such a drag to craft. I'm amazed that people go for that to compete. To, you know what I'm saying? That's what they pick to craft.
It used to be a lot more sensical, right? Like, it actually made sense because you were actually reverse engineering items in order to try to get the crits, in order to get the better thing that you wanted. So you were stockpiling all of those.
Those were a byproduct of what you were actually really doing, and then you could use the byproduct in a helpful way. Now you're doing it to get the byproduct.
Now you're literally making and destroying things to get the thing that you want.
And
the fact that you literally have to destroy something in order to get a component to make the thing that you want. Like, you can't even make the component. You have to make something to destroy it to get the component.
I'm surprised you don't just craft credits and then go buy what you want. We're forging money. I'm sorry.
Oh man, don't put that in their head. That's bad. Stop it, Sakari. No.
So let's come back around to today. So is there anything that would be helpful to crafting that we can't currently do?
Okay, so stuff that we should be able to craft that we can't craft.
Correct.
Generally,
everybody should know what my answer is.
I have a similar response to this as we did with decorations, which is that, quite frankly, every time they have a new planet, they have a new level cap, they have a new daily area, and most importantly, every time they have a new reputation, they should be adding more craftables, particularly on the cosmetic side. They should be having more outfits, full-on outfits that crafters can make.
New die packs.
Yeah, new die packs. I don't even know when the last time is they made die packs, mostly because I've never cared to make them, but I do know that they are fun, you know? So from that standpoint, I absolutely think that there should be a lot more for the crafters to cosmetically create in order to contribute to the in-game economy.
Right.
It's the one thing I chase in the game.
As it is, they just put everything on the market. And that's what, yes, I mean, there's always been this universal kind of understanding that the cartel market kills the in-game crafting community, just obliterates it, because everything that's cool is on the market. Everything that's old and you know, like, I don't know, the thrift store kind of stuff is what gets crafted. But yeah, no, I agree with you guys that I wish that they would say, okay, so here is this die pack, and here's a variant of it that is now craftable. And maybe the cooler one you can buy on the cartel market, but there's that close off, like, you know, Magic was talking about the off black. Yeah. You know, a lesser version.
I'll be honest, in a lot of ways, I feel like I don't think it would be going too far to actually preferably have it established that for every die color combination, like, because there's a primary color and a secondary color, right? So for every time they do a green-yellow, then the yellow-green should be crafted. If they do an orange-blue, then the blue-orange should be crafted, and split it that way. And then I can totally get, okay, fine, for your black, for your white, those color dice or, you know, crystals options or whatever, those can be a high-value item to get off of the cartel market or the.
But I wish they would take away the direct sell because it's killing us right now. Those of us who like to sell them on the GTN, because people are like, I'm not going to pay 20 mil for this die. I'm just going to save up my cartel coins for a couple months and buy it. Yeah. Like right now, you can still buy like the black and white die, and I'm just like.
Anything that's crafted should be unique to crafting. It shouldn't be on the cartel market at all, in my opinion.
I would give up half my dark black evil throne for them to bring black and purple back into this game. And purple and white. I loved those dyes when they were around. And they were everywhere when those specific packs gave them out.
Oh, yeah.
But then they dried up, you know, I don't know how many years ago, and I've not seen. I mean, you see the odd one now, it's 8 mil on the GTN because they're so stinking rare. And I'm like, why can't you guys, if you aren't intending on bringing these back, why can't you just release them to the crafting community? You know,
right.
I want those.
Variation.
Or like even just plain colors. Like once in a while, you have like you can get like just black or like secondary black, secondary white. I really want to know like why I have to go to a vendor in the cartel market to get just red, like primary red or secondary red. Like, why can't I buy that on the cartel market? What if I never want that reputation because nothing else matters, but I just want that dye? There's no other way to get it. I hate it.
Well, and I would like to see more things like the magenta color crystal, where you actually have an in-game kind of quest chain process that I think that one's even started. Like, you can get the schematic, but then in order to get the different pieces and everything and components to make the thing, you actually have to go to various places throughout the galaxy to get those different pieces and then make what you want. Like,
Yeah,
I like
but they don't update that though.
I'll
So
charge an arm and a leg for that then.
once
Well,
you
that's
do
my
create
point.
it doesn't give you plus 41. It gives you plus 7. So it's, statistically, it's worthless. It
Is
looks
that still
cool.
true? I thought.
Yeah,
that
I
they
don't
had
think
said
the
that everything was
magenta.
41.
I don't think the magenta one has been leveled up. It's
They've-
possible.
Well,
They've
there
never
is a
addressed it.
magenta one that's a cartel market one
Mhm.
because that's what my Juggernaut tank has, and I have it both in the Hawkeye and in the Indestructibles. So I do know that there is a variant of magenta crystals that are on the cartel market, but I don't know if it's specifically the one you're talking about.
Well, and still to that point, frankly, anything that if there are any crystals in the game that are anything other than 41, that should be changed to 41 flat.
Correct.
Like,
Agreed.
I
there's
agree.
literally no reason for any other.
Yeah, they
numerical
said,
value for
here's
crystals
what
in the
we're
game.
doing with all crystals. But it's just those ones that get awarded as a result of some quest chain or
Mhm.
you know.
Or a drop from a specific boss or whatever, right?
Right.
Isn't that one of the ones, the magenta one or something? There's pieces you get
I
off of.
forget that magenta. I want to say that there is a
'Cause I got it from
schematic you
something.
can pick up somehow and craft the crystal. But then I don't know if it's. I forget. It's been an age. I have a character that ran around with a magenta forever, and that was one of the things I loved about how I designed that character. But then I don't think they ever updated the stats on that specific thing, and it was worthless. I couldn't use it. So
Oh, your black purple drops from Nightmare Pilgrim. Doesn't that crystal drop from Nightmare Pilgrim? Isn't that what he's saying? Yeah, it's just saying in the chat room.
Nightmare
Really?
Pilgrim.
Ooh.
Yeah, good luck.
I've never
Ain't
done
nobody
that
running
one.
Nightmare Pilgrim
Is
anymore.
that how I have it?
I
then?
used to love
because I have
those
it
things.
on.
Everyone's scared to death of it. I've never been able to
Which
get it
ironically-
together to
I've
go
never
do
done
it.
it.
And Nightmare Pilgrim actually takes a crafted potion specific to it so that you can fight him without him nuking you.
Yeah, my raid group's about to do that. I'm excited.
It's a lot of fun, actually. So actually, I did have a question for you, Elise. What is it about conquests that has you doing this?
It's easy.
What's easy though?
I can just set my 2 crafting tunes to make the components, so I have one craft them, so I can get my to that one level of conquest, and then I send them all over to the other ones so that they can put it together, and then with a few PvP war zones, usually on the weeks that crafting is important to conquest, so the ones I do it. It's the only time I do. Is for crafting.
So that's how you contribute to conquests itself is by doing the
Correct.
crafting
Yes.
stuff. I got you. Okay.
Correct.
That used to be
And
the way
I-
to win conquests, is everybody just wait on it and have everything ready to turn in, and then when it happens, just unleash the wave.
Yep. I
Well,
have like piles of them. Yes.
So just to correct myself before we get too much further, the magenta schematic is the thing that drops off of the Nightmare Pilgrim. So, and apparently Yads is saying that you don't need the item for Nightmare Pilgrim anymore. So
But then Kui is saying it gives you plus 31. Is it plus 31 or plus 41? Because plus 41 is what counts. 31 outdated.
Right.
exactly.
I honestly don't know, but at this point, I would hope that they have bumped that up since Nightmare Pilgrim is now still like you need people in the top gear to take him down. So that's why I'm kind of like, I would hope so, but I don't know for sure.
So,
At least,
any others?
let me ask you something here.
Yes.
Just kind of from an overall perspective, since you are our you experiment and dabble with a lot of different games, and you kind of experience a very wide array of things. Compared to crafting in other games, how does SWTOR stack up?
SWTOR has a smooth grow.
Okay, very very nicely put.
That was
Um,
so kindly stated.
My favorite so far of MMO or games that have crafting in them, ESO is probably my favorite, although Dragon Age Inquisition had a really cool crafting system. It's not an MMO, but it's darn close to being an MMO as a single player game, that one, and it is another BioWare game. Your materials in that game in Dragon Age Inquisition would change the color of the material that you use. So the mat that you use to craft with would change, like the design, the color, the patterns that were on the armor or the outfit that you made. And so you could combine the way you combined those would change the look of each outfit, even if it were the same base outfit, if that makes sense.
Right.
That would be so cool if they could do something like that in this game. Then you'd have a little bit more.
They won't.
I know, and I don't know that they can, but I mean,
They've
that would
actually
be
moved
really
away from
cool.
that direction.
Yeah, if you could like somehow like put a pattern on or whatever. I mean, it would be that a certain type of cotton in Dragon Age Inquisition would actually give you a pattern in a certain color. It was really cool.
Yeah, complexity. I feel like I want
Correct.
complexity where it's tough to.
Yeah.
Yeah, even like so they've done this now recently in this game with 236
But that
augments.
negates the push one button, play the game thing that they want, right?
It does. Admittedly,
Although
it does,
I do not believe under Keith that they are actually still pursuing that
Yeah.
mandate.
I would think that's more of a back end thing. The stats were still the same. Well, there was some min-maxing with that. But a lot of times people would try and figure out a way to be able to get the look they want with the same
Right.
statistics. ESO, you can craft so many decorations on each one of the gear, whatever's. I mean, like, it's like just crazy. Beds for each like race type and like towels. I mean, like minutia to like major stuff. Anything that you buy on the Cartel Market, save just a few things, you can craft. That is probably like my favorite thing about ESO's crafting system is that it's a different color.
So
on their
you
Cartel
can be the
Market.
best crafter in the game of forks or paper towel holders. if you want to,
Yeah,
you can
make
specialize.
plates and cups, and each race has a different variation of each one of those, and they have expensive ones, like they have green, blue, purple for,
Right.
good, better, best, whatever. And
I remember.
yeah, I mean,
I remember.
it's really nice.
In Galaxies, and when Star Wars Galaxies, those of you who want to reminisce with me about this, that game, it used to be like if I was going to be an armor crafter, for instance, and you want the very best armor in the game, you had to wait until the mat that spawned, and they would spawn for a while, and they would be there, and then they despawn and spawn somewhere else. So you're always having to move your gatherers around to go find the best mats. But you pick up the mats, the very best that you could find, and then you had to be in a town that had a bonus to crafting was set as its town bonus. You know what I'm saying? And then you had to put all of these different things together to have that chance at that. It was basically like to create the schematic, and once you created that, then you could put that into machines and have your machines basically duplicated and create all of these different things. It was really cool. Like I miss shooting for the pinnacle in crafting. It's almost like what we do in DPS these days, where a DPS is like okay, let me learn my rotation, let me get the best stat balance. They're tweaking and min-maxing and finding all the little minutiae that they can look at to come up with the absolute best outcome that they can have as a DPS. I wish that mechanic was in crafting, where in order to create this specific, the best armor, you have to basically play that same game in the armor crafting world. I wish that was in this game.
Or even just like materials, like in ESO, you can craft yourself a leveling potion that increases your experience gains.
Mm-hmm. But
there's an RNG in it because you need this one particular material to make it, and it's random. You get it for fishing and filleting the fish or whatever. that's really random, but when you get it, you can make an experience potion. Wouldn't that be kind of cool to be able to have something like, that there's some random thing that you get in the game to make this cool thing, but everybody has kind of an equal chance. They need to do something.
Like the Kratom-matic.
They need to make crafting and smart. And one last thing, I know it's getting late, but as somebody who came into the game later, after everybody had established kind of their territories, let's say on, say, GTN, if you wanted to try and not even maybe corner the market, but just compete on the marketplace, it's really hard for newbies to break into the crafting, selling game. And that is really something that I really wish games that have been around for a long time would really try and take a look at. I don't know how they would do anything about it, but it really, one of the reasons why I never really got into crafting was because I realized, and I never wanted to become the next Jeff Bezos of the game. But, just being able to make a die, make some bucks and get out. When I started doing that, the market was flooded with crafted dice.
It is a very saturated market, that is for sure, and it is tough for the newbie. You almost have to learn some game and then play that little game until you build enough seed money to get to the next toughest tier, and then play that game and eventually you're trading mounts, or whatever.
Right.
But
absolutely. But I mean, that's just it's and it's not huge. This is a game, but do you know what I mean? You got to figure out some way to get people invested. And as you can see, it just seems to me by talking to people that things like outfits and stuff like that, I didn't know about half that stuff because I figured everybody just, the crafted ones were lame and I would just go buy stuff off the GTN.
Well, and frankly, to that end, one of the things that I've always wanted is some form of armory, at least that's what they call it on WoW, but a part of the BioWare website where you could actually go and fiddle with the armors and, mix and match and do some sort of 3D rendering or whatever.
Oh, that would be so cool.
Or even be able to link to it so that you can show people what your character actually looks like in game because you set it that way, and share that with people. And they could even look at the individual items in order to know how you achieved that look and everything. That would...
if
unfortunately, not everybody's going to go to, as often as we say it, tour fashion. How many people are actually going to go there?
I've never been there.
Oh, you're missing out, Magic.
I feel pretty confident in my game. I'm good to go. So, that being said, I'm obsessed with crafting. I love it. I'm constantly tune hopping, getting what I need from each characters. I love gathering, all that stuff. It's wonderful. But you know what I love even more? Telling our audience, thank you. Thank you so much for watching us. Thank you for participating in chat. Thank you for the poll. The straw poll is just awesome. And if you didn't participate, then we'd have a segment where we're awkwardly looking at each other in our frames, and that's weird. So thank you. We really appreciate it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We love you guys. We appreciate it.
And that brings us to the end of the episode. The council is adjourned. If you'd like to reach us, you can email us at thecouncil@thecouncilswotor.com. You can find Elise on Twitter at abrown35, Magic Ace at the Magic Ace, me at R3DN4, and Sakari at I am Sakari. Don't forget to visit our webpage, www.thecouncilswotor.com, and follow us on social media. Also, don't forget our Patreon page at patreon.com/thecouncilswotor. That's it for this week, guys. Don't forget, traveling through hyperspace ain't like dusting crops, farm boy.
Thank God.
See you guys. Have a great week.
I understand.
You are on this council, but we do not grant you the rank of master.
What? How can you do this? This is outrageous. It's unfair. How can you be on the council and not be a master?
Take a seat, young Skywalker.
Forgive me, Master.